Could be no better birthday present for America than the phenomenal victory we achieved just hours ago when Congress passed the one big, beautiful bill to make America great again. With this bill, every major promise I made to the people of Iowa in 2024 became a promise kept.
So President Trump paying tribute to our nation's founding and praising the passing of his big, beautiful bill. Trump promising the bill will deliver unprecedented prosperity to the middle-class Americans like never before, and at the same time boosting the American economy. For more on this, I'm joined now by Oklahoma Republican Congressman and Chairman of the House Republican Policy Committee, Kevin Hern. Great to have you on, Congressman. Before we get to the big, beautiful bill, I want to ask you about your reaction to that flash flooding that we just saw in Texas. Your state experienced something similar. It was hit with flooding. Rescue teams now from Oklahoma are assisting in Texas. Just want to get your reaction to it.
Yeah, first, our hearts and prayers go out to the victims. We actually know some people that their children were down there that have not been found yet. So it's very tragic, very personal. This is a very faith-based part of the country that, kids go to summer camps. And this is a tragic, you mentioned some 20 plus feet in 2 hours. It's reported that it was 20 feet in 40 minutes. And so that makes it very difficult to leave. But again, it's terrible. We thank Governor Abbott for all he's doing, bringing the National Guard out and all the resources, and our own governor here in Oklahoma, Governor Stitt, sending resources as well. Yeah,
it's just a devastating story that we're following here, and hopefully we get some new updates here a little bit later today. We have Amy Metz there on location. I want to get your thoughts now, though, on this big, beautiful bill that's become law. There were some Republican holdouts, but what pushed them across the finish line? What was the determining factor here that was able to get this done?
Oh, no question. President Trump, he is on a roll. He ran and campaigned on the notion of keeping our taxes low, helping those in the working class with no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, reducing the tax burden on seniors. That's exactly what we delivered about securing our southern border. As you remember at the joint address back in the earlier part of the year when he told the Democrats we don't need to change the laws, we just need a new president. He has put unprecedented restrictions on the border, 99% reduction. We now have to secure our southern border. I think more importantly, with what we see going on around the world is making sure our men and women in uniform are getting the resources they need back to the lethal fighting machine that they can be. And I think when you see the recruiting that's been surpassed in just a few short months compared to what it was under the Biden administration, it's just incredible.
Yeah, and another win here for President Trump. I mean, he's racked up a number of them here in the last week, and this is by far probably one of his biggest wins because he did want this to get through. I want to take a look at what is actually in the bill that it will be offered to American people here. The legislation does bring $3.8 trillion in tax cuts for Americans, no tax on tips. We've heard about that, or overtime as well. $46 billion to help secure the borders. President Trump taking X, or rather Truth Social, writing this. The one big beautiful bill will deliver the strongest border on earth, the strongest economy on earth, the strongest military on earth, and ensure the United States of America will remain the strongest country anywhere on this beautiful planet of ours. However, despite some of the takeaways, Democrats, they all voted no on this, clearly. And one of the things that they were concerned about was Medicaid, the cuts to Medicaid. I want to get your thoughts on why the Democrats continue to push this argument of Medicaid cuts when, if you look specifically at it, there's working requirements now.
Yeah, it's very popular. 80+% of Americans, Republican and Democrat, think you should work if you're going to get benefits. We should measure our success with our social programs about how many people we get into a job and get onto sustainability of life as opposed to depending on the federal government. The Democrats measure by how many people we get on to these social programs that never get off, that live a life on the American government. And so all this bill does is says 80 hours a week per month or volunteering per month. And that's all. If you're able-bodied, it's estimated by the CBO about 4.8 million people are in that. Just to give a comparison, because it's often compared by the Democrats back when Clinton was president. Yeah. Then of the working age people on the benefit programs, about 10% of the people worked, 3.5% of the people that eligible did not work. Right. Today, it's over 10%. So we got to get people back to work, experience an American dream, and let them know that the federal government is not their savior. It's to help them get back on their feet.
I want to get to the Treasury Secretary. He was on one of the other Sunday shows here, CNN State of the Union, and this is what he had to say because he was asked again about Medicaid. Watch.
There are no change in benefits. There's a change in requirements to get the benefits. And what we are doing, we are bringing back manufacturing jobs. We are bringing back working class jobs. By securing the border, we have already seen working class wages move up. So we are creating jobs. People can get off Medicaid and get a job that has good health care benefits.
So, Congressman, do you expect that the Democrats are going to rally around this, that this is now going to be their talking point about Medicaid?
Well, they're not absolute in their saying what they're talking about. They keep saying like may and could and possibly, because they absolutely don't know. Again, this is foreign territory for them. I mean, if you think about what the CBO said, it's $3.8 trillion in tax cuts. If you ask everyday Americans that if they get to keep their taxes low, that somehow that's a tax cut, that's the rightful ownership of the monies they have. They're not going back to Washington, D.C. to be abused on spending programs that the Democrats and some Republicans, quite frankly, want to do. The president's on the right path. We made these permanent. We're not going to have expiring tax codes anymore for the American people, Democrat or Republican, or those who don't care about politics. It's the right move. Now we need to focus on spending cuts in America and pushing those ideas back to the states where they have the people in the states can control that spending.
I want to pivot to this real quickly before we let you go. This is the devastating air attacks that were unleashed on Ukraine from Russia. This was shortly after President Trump did have this phone call with President Putin. Where are we going with this in terms of Putin? Is he going to be determined to make a deal here? It seems that whenever President Trump gets close to getting something done, the fighting continues to escalate.
Well, I think what you're seeing is President Putin test President Trump's patience. He's been a peacemaker, President Trump has, from the Congo to Pakistan, India, and now the Middle East, Syria. The list goes on. And this is one where Russia is going to test their idea of sanctions. We're going to have to look at how we can do this without forcing them to ally with China. It's delicate. We saw in the Biden administration things are a lot worse than we actually knew. And President Trump, I'm confident, will get this figured out, and we'll be there to support him in Congress.
All right. Well, we'll continue to follow it as well. Congressman, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday. And thank you so much with the 4th of July weekend. I hope you were able to spend some time and celebrate with your friends and family.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's